Welcome to our channel Cheating and Chaos. Enjoy your viewing. Miami, 2010. The South Beach nightclub pulsed with salsa rhythms, the air thick with the scent of mojitos and salty ocean breeze. Mark Wilson, a 33-year-old entrepreneur whose software startup had just hit its first million, stood by the bar, clutching a cold drink. His eyes caught Emily Carter, a 25-year-old interior designer, dancing with friends across the room. Her laughter, like wind chimes, cut through the music, her dark hair glinting under neon lights. Mark wasn't one for bold moves, but something about her pulled him from his friends toward her. Enjoying the track, or just dancing to steal the show? He teased, hoping his voice hit his nerves. Emily spun around, her green eyes sparkling with mischief. You a dance critic or just spying? She shot back, not missing a beat. That conversation stretched for hours. They talked dreams, Miami, favorite beach spots. Emily was sharp-witted, her spark making Mark laugh louder than usual. By night's end, he had her number. A week later, they dined at a cozy spot on Ocean Drive. Their romance spun like a hurricane. Palm-lined walks, late-night yacht rides where they shared secrets under starry skies. Emily was a free spirit with ambition. She dreamed of her own design studio. Mark saw not just a lover but a partner who inspired him. A year later, at sunset on his yacht, Mark knelt. In his hand gleamed a simple yet elegant diamond ring, like Emily herself. "Emily, you're my home. Marry me," he said, voice trembling with sincerity. She nodded, tears shining. "Yes, Mark. Yes." Their wedding was intimate, magical. A beach ceremony on Key Biscayne, closest friends and family only. Emily, barefoot in white, laughed when Mark accidentally stepped on her dress during their first dance. 2 years later, their son Jake was born, completing their world. Mark's business soared, bringing millions, funding a lavish life. A bayfront home, private school for Jake, Bahamas getaways. Emily launched her design studio, but her passion soon shifted to social media. Emily's Instagram and TikTok accounts exploded, showcasing her glamorous life. Chic interiors, trendy outfits, parties with friends. Mark was initially proud of her following. But new friends entered, glitzy socialites living off hefty alimony from rich ex-husbands. They flaunted Chanel bags, private jets, and a freedom they claimed marriage couldn't offer. Mark distrusted them. "Your friends? They live in a bubble," he said one night when Emily returned from another party. "They're just having fun, Mark. Don't be such a bore." She brushed off, scrolling her phone. Emily insisted her friends didn't sway her, but Mark noticed shifts. She spent hours filming TikTok videos, replying to followers, talking less about their plans. Jake, now 14, saw it too. Mom was more glued to her phone than to family. "Dad, why's Mom always filming?" he asked during a backyard basketball game. Mark sighed. "She's caught up, buddy. It'll pass." Didn't. By 2025, as Emily neared her 40th birthday, her social media obsession peaked. She planned a massive party with her friends, dismissing Mark's offer for a quiet night together. "One of my friends is leaving Miami. I have to be there," Emily insisted, fixing her makeup. Mark nodded, masking irritation. "Fine. Not too late. Okay?" That night, alone with a whiskey, Mark opened his phone and checked TikTok. Emily was live from the party. What he saw froze him. Emily, laughing, flirted with a stranger in a club, her friends egging her on as music blared. She held a cocktail, seemingly oblivious to her family. Mark felt anger and pain grip his chest. This wasn't just a party. It was betrayal. He shut off his phone but couldn't shut off his thoughts. What was happening to their marriage? Was Emily still the woman he loved? And most importantly, what would he do next? Mark knew one thing. He wouldn't let his life be ruined. This was just the beginning of a story that would change them both forever. Mark Wilson sat in his dimly lit living room, the Miami skyline twinkling beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. The whiskey in his hand was untouched, his phone dark after shutting off Emily's TikTok live stream. The image of her laughing, flirting with a stranger in a crowded club, burned in his mind. It wasn't just a party. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than he could have imagined. At 48, Mark had built a life of stability. A thriving tech business, a bayfront home, a son he adored. Now it felt like the ground was crumbling beneath him. He replayed the night they met, 15 years ago, her green eyes sparkling under South Beach neon. That Emily felt like a stranger now, replaced by someone chasing likes and fleeting thrills. Mark's jaw tightened. Was this a one-off, or had she been drifting away for longer? He needed answers, but confronting her tonight, with her likely tipsy and defensive, would lead nowhere. He set the glass down and headed to bed, though sleep never came. The next morning, Emily breezed into the kitchen, humming, her phone already in hand. She wore yoga pants and a crop top, ready for her gym session. No hint of guilt? Mark, sipping coffee, studied her. Fun night? He asked, keeping his tone neutral. Emily barely looked up from her screen. Yeah, it was a blast. Sorry I got home late, time got away. Mark's grip on his mug tightened. Saw you're live. Looked lively. She froze, then laughed lightly. Oh, come on, Mark. It was just dancing, some drinks. Don't be dramatic. Her dismissal stung. He wanted to call her out, to ask about the stranger, the flirting, but her nonchalance stopped him. Instead, he said, Jake's got a game this weekend. Be there, okay? He notices when you're not. Emily nodded absently. Sure, I'll make it. She didn't. That Saturday, while Mark cheered Jake at his basketball game, Emily posted a TikTok from a rooftop brunch with her socialite friends. Jake, sweaty and disappointed, asked, Where's Mom? Mark forced a smile. She's busy, buddy. We've got this. But inside he seethed. Emily's priorities were clear, her followers over her family. That night, Mark made a decision. He couldn't ignore the rift growing between them. He needed to know how deep this went. On Monday, he met with a private investigator, a discreet professional named Carla, recommended by a business associate. I need to know what my wife's doing, Mark said, sliding Emily's social media profiles across the desk. No confrontation yet, just facts. Carla nodded. Give me a week. If there's something, I'll find it. Over the next few days, Mark threw himself into work, but his thoughts churned. He noticed things he'd overlooked. Emily's late-night texting, her guarded phone, her growing distance. She still smiled, kissed him goodnight, but it felt mechanical. Jake, too, grew quieter, spending more time gaming than talking. The house, once filled with laughter, felt hollow. Carla's report came faster than expected. At a coffee shop near his office, she handed him a slim folder. It's not good, she warned. Mark's stomach sank as he read. Emily had been meeting a man, Tyler, a 30-something fitness influencer, multiple times at a downtown lounge. Photos showed them laughing, her hand on his arm. Worse, Carla found emails between Emily and a divorce lawyer discussing asset division and alimony potential. The meetings predated her birthday party. This wasn't a spontaneous lapse, it was calculated. Mark's hands shook as he closed the folder. She's planning to leave me, he said, more to himself than Carla. Looks that way, Carla replied. She's been careful, but not careful enough. That evening, Emily was filming a TikTok in their living room, lip-syncing to a trending song. Mark watched from the doorway, her carefree act now a mockery. He waited until she finished, then spoke. We need to talk. Now. His voice was low, controlled. Emily rolled her eyes. Can it wait? I'm in the middle of... No, it can't. He gestured to the couch. Sit. She sighed but complied. Mark sat across from her, the folder in his lap. I know about Tyler. And the lawyer. Emily's face paled, her phone slipping from her hand. What are you talking about? Don't, Mark cut in. I have proof. You've been planning to divorce me, maybe take half my business. For what? A fling? A new life with your influencer crowd. Tears welled in her eyes, but her voice stayed sharp. You don't get it, Mark. I'm suffocating. I'm 40 and I want more than this routine. Tyler, he's just a friend, but he listens. My friends, they're living, not just existing. Living? Mark's voice rose. They're leeching off ex-husbands and you're falling for it. What about Jake? What about us? Jake's fine, she snapped. And us? You're always working. I need to feel alive. The words hit like a slap. Mark stood, folder in hand. You had a choice, Emily. You chose this. But I'm not letting you destroy what I built. He walked out, leaving her on the couch, tears streaming. In his office, he called his lawyer. I need to protect my assets. Everything business, savings, the house. She's not getting a dime she doesn't deserve. As he hung up, Jake appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. Dad, what's going on? I heard you yelling. Mark's heart sank. He knelt, meeting his son's gaze. We're figuring things out, buddy. But I promise, you and me, we're gonna be okay. Mark didn't sleep that night. Emily's betrayal was no longer just a suspicion, it was a battle line. He'd fight for his son, his business, his dignity. But how far would this go? And what would it cost them all? Mark Wilson stood in his home office, the Miami skyline a blur through the window. The folder from the private investigator lay open on his desk, its contents photos of Emily with Tyler, emails to a divorce lawyer, fueling a storm of anger and resolve. At 48, Mark had faced business rivals and market crashes, but this betrayal cut deeper. Emily's words from their confrontation echoed, "I'm suffocating. I need to feel alive." Alive at the cost of their family? Their son, Jake? He wouldn't let her dismantle everything he'd built. Downstairs, Emily was filming another TikTok, her laughter grating against Mark's nerves. She hadn't mentioned their fight, acting as if nothing had changed. But everything had. Mark's lawyer, Sarah, had been clear, protect the business and assets now before Emily could act. "She's already scoping alimony," Sarah warned. "Move fast." Mark nodded, his mind racing. He'd spent 15 years building his tech empire, he wouldn't let it become collateral damage. He met Sarah at her downtown office the next day. "Transfer the business shares to a trust for Jake," Mark instructed. "The house savings, put them out of reach. I want her to get only what's fair, nothing more." Sarah outlined a plan, a trust fund for Jake, a separate account for Mark's personal wealth, and a valuation to limit Emily's claim. "It's legal, airtight," she assured. "But divorce is ugly. Be ready." Mark was. He'd fight for Jake's future, not Emily's fantasies. Back home, tension hung like humidity. Emily barely spoke, her eyes glued to her phone. Jake, sensing the rift, retreated to his room. Mark hated the silence but needed space to plan. He dug deeper, accessing Emily's public TikTok posts. One video, posted days after their fight, showed her at a rooftop bar with Tyler, captioned, "Chasing Freedom." The comments, hundreds of them, cheered her on. Mark's stomach churned. Freedom? From what? Him? Jake? He screenshot the post, forwarding it to Sarah. Evidence was piling up. A week later, Mark found a text on Jake's phone, left open on the kitchen counter. It was from Emily, "Don't worry about Dad. I'm figuring things out. Love you." Figuring what out? Leaving? Taking Jake? Mark's heart raced. He couldn't lose his son. That night, he sat Jake down in the living room, the TV muted. "Buddy, I need to know what's going on with Mom," Mark said, keeping his voice steady. Jake shifted, uneasy. "She's different. Always with her friends or that Tyler guy. She texts me about moving somewhere new, but I don't want to go." Mark's chest tightened. "You're not going anywhere. This is your home." "Okay." Jake nodded, eyes down. "Dad, are you guys splitting up?" Mark exhaled. "I'm trying to fix this, but I need you to trust me." The next day, Mark called Carla, the investigator, for an update. "Tyler's not just a fling," Carla reported. "He's been pushing Emily to divorce you, promising a big life, parties, travel, her TikTok fame. But he's broke, living off her credit card." Mark clenched his fist. Tyler was a leech and Emily was blind to it. Carla added, "She's meeting the lawyer again tomorrow. Sounds like she's ready to file." Mark acted swiftly. He instructed Sarah to draft divorce papers first, citing Emily's infidelity and financial misconduct. "We file before she does," he said. "It sets the tone." Sarah agreed, warning this'll hit her hard. "Expect pushback." Mark didn't care. He'd given Emily everything, love, security, a family. She'd chosen to throw it away. That evening, Mark waited for Emily in the dining room, the divorce papers hidden in a drawer. She walked in, dressed for another night out, phone in hand. "We're not done talking," Mark said, his tone firm. Emily sighed, tossing her hair. "Mark, I said I'm sorry. Can't we move on?" "Sorry doesn't cut it." He slid the folder across the table. "Tyler. The lawyer. Your plan to take my business. I know everything." Emily's face crumpled, but she recovered quickly. "You spied on me? That's low even for you." "Low?" Mark's voice rose. "You're plotting to gut our life. Jake saw your texts about moving. You think you can just take him." She flinched. "I'd never hurt Jake. I need to start over." "You're holding me back." "Holding you back?" Mark stood, towering over the table. "I gave you a home, a career, a son. You're chasing a con man's lies, and you're too blind to see it." Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she grabbed her purse. "I'm done talking." She stormed out, leaving Mark alone with the papers. He didn't follow. Instead, he texted Sarah, "File tomorrow." The next morning, Jake knocked on Mark's office door, holding his phone. "Dad, Mom posted this." It was a TikTok video, Emily, tearful, saying, "Sometimes you have to break free even if it hurts." I'm choosing me. The comments exploded, some supportive, others vicious. Jake looked shattered. Is she leaving us? Mark pulled him close. She's leaving me, not you. I'll fight for you, always. But as he held his son, Mark knew the battle was just beginning. Emily's choices had set them on a collision course. He'd protect his family no matter the cost. But what would be left when the dust settled? Mark Wilson sat at his desk, the Miami sunrise casting long shadows across his office. The divorce papers, filed yesterday, sat in a neat stack, their weight heavier than paper should be. At 48, he'd faced tough calls, business deals, layoffs, but nothing like this. Emily's betrayal, her plan to divorce him and claim his tech empire, had pushed him to act. Her tearful TikTok, "I'm choosing me," still played in his mind, a public stab at their 15-year marriage. Worse, Jake's shaken voice, "Is she leaving us?" fueled Mark's resolve. He'd protect his son and his legacy no matter what. Emily hadn't come home last night. Her latest TikTok showed her at a South Beach club, dancing with Tyler, the fitness influencer leeching off her. Mark's lawyer, Sarah, had called it a gift. Every reckless post strengthened their case. Infidelity, financial misconduct, she's digging her own grave, Sarah said. Mark nodded, but victory felt hollow. He didn't want revenge for spite, he wanted justice for Jake, for the life they'd built. Sarah's plan was in motion. Mark had transferred his business shares to a trust for Jake, shielding them from Emily's reach. The Bayfront house was listed for sale, proceeds earmarked for a charity supporting single parents, a quiet jab at Emily's socialite friends who thrived on alimony. Personal savings were secured in a protected account. She'll get a fair settlement, Sarah assured, but not a windfall. Mark agreed. Fairness, not cruelty, guided him. At home, Jake was quieter, his usual chatter replaced by long silences. Mark found him in his room, scrolling through Emily's TikTok. A new video showed her laughing with Tyler, captioned, "New chapter, new me." Jake's eyes were red. "Dad, why's she acting like we don't exist?" he asked, voice cracking. Mark sat beside him, choosing his words. "Your mom's lost right now, buddy. But you're my priority. Always." Jake leaned into him, a rare moment for a 14-year-old. "Don't let her take me away." "Never," Mark promised, his throat tight. That afternoon Emily texted, "We need to talk." "I'm at the house." Mark steeled himself and drove home. She stood in the living room, makeup flawless, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "No phone, no filming, a first." "I saw the papers," she said, voice low. "You're really doing this?" Mark crossed his arms. "You left me no choice. You planned to gut our life, Jake, the business, everything." Emily's lip trembled. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. Tyler, he made me feel seen. My friends said I deserved more." "More than what?" Mark snapped. "A son who needs you. A husband who loved you." She looked away. "I messed up, okay? But you spying, freezing me out, that's not fair." "Fair?" Mark's voice rose. "You texted Jake about moving, scared him half to death. You're chasing a con man's lies, and I'm done watching you drag us down." Emily sobbed, but Mark didn't soften. "You'll get a settlement. The house is sold, half to charity. Jake stays with me." "Sign the papers, Emily." She shook her head, grabbing her bag. "I'm not signing anything yet." She left, slamming the door. Days later, Sarah called with news. Emily's lawyer had countered, demanding a larger settlement and partial custody. "She's bluffing," Sarah said. "Her posts with Tyler tank her credibility. The judge will see through it." Mark trusted Sarah, but the custody fight gnawed at him. Jake was his line in the sand. Emily's TikTok spiraled. Videos of her partying with Tyler drew mixed reactions. Some fans cheered, others called her desperate. One post showed her waving a cocktail, saying, "Freedom tastes sweet." But a leaked clip shared by an anonymous account changed everything. It showed Tyler arguing with Emily at a club, demanding she pay his tab. Comments tore her apart. "He's using you, pathetic." Mark showed Jake, who shook his head. "She's embarrassing herself, Dad." Mark didn't watch anymore. He focused on Jake, basketball games, pizza nights, and his business, now thriving under new contracts. The house sold for millions, half donated as planned. He rented a sleek condo on Key Biscayne, a fresh start for him and Jake. A month later, Sarah called. Emily signed. Minimal settlement, no custody fight. She's moving to LA with Tyler. Mark exhaled, relief tinged with sadness. Jake took it hard but stayed close to Mark. One night, Jake showed Mark a final TikTok. Emily, alone in a dim apartment, said, "I thought I wanted freedom, but I lost my family. Don't make my mistakes." Jake shut it off. "I'm done, Dad." Mark hugged him. "We're enough, buddy." Mark stood on his condo's balcony, the ocean glittering below. Emily's choices had cost her everything. He'd won, but the scars remained. Yet with Jake by his side, he felt ready for what came next. The fight was over, but their new chapter was just beginning. Mark Wilson stood on the balcony of his new Key Biscayne condo, the Atlantic Ocean shimmering under a late Miami sun. At 49, he felt lighter, unburdened by the weight of Emily's betrayal. The divorce was final, the papers signed 6 months ago. Jake, now 15, was adjusting to their new rhythm, weekends at basketball practice, evenings rebuilding their bond. The sale of their old Bayfront home, with half the proceeds donated to a children's charity, had severed the last tie to Emily. Mark's tech business thrived, and his heart, though scarred, was healing. Emily's life, however, had unraveled. Her TikTok empire, once a glittering escape, crumbled after the leaked video exposing Tyler's manipulation. Her followers turned, flooding her posts with mockery. Tyler vanished, leaving her with a drained credit card bill. Her socialite friends, quick to cheer her freedom, faded when the glamour did. Alone in a rented downtown apartment, Emily posted a tearful video weeks after the divorce. "I thought I was choosing myself, but I lost everything, my family, my home. I was wrong." The comments were brutal, but Jake showed it to Mark, his voice soft. "She looks sad, Dad." Mark nodded, his anger dulled by time. "She made her choices, buddy. We've got to move forward." But Jake's words lingered. Emily's regret was real, yet it changed nothing. She tried calling Mark once, her voice shaky. "Can we talk? I miss Jake and you." Mark was firm. "Jake's here when you're ready to be a mom. But you and me? That's done." He hung up, feeling not triumph, but closure. Jake struggled most. At a diner one night, he pushed his fries around, eyes distant. "Mom keeps texting me, saying she's sorry. Should I see her?" Mark's chest tightened. He wanted to shield Jake, but knew his son needed to decide. "If you're ready, meet her. But set boundaries. You deserve respect." Jake nodded, a faint smile breaking through. "Thanks, Dad. You're always straight with me." A month later, Jake met Emily at a cafe. Mark waited nearby, ready to step in. Jake returned, quiet but calm. "She cried a lot, said she's in therapy, trying to fix herself. I told her I need time." Mark hugged him. "You did good, kid. I'm proud." That night, they played basketball in the condo's courtyard, laughter echoing. Mark realized he hadn't laughed like that in years. Emily's attempts to rebuild continued, but her TikTok presence faded. A final video, posted recently, showed her in a plain sweater, no filters. "I chased the wrong things and lost what mattered. I'm learning to live with that. To anyone watching, value what you have." It gained modest views, some sympathetic comments. Mark saw it by chance, forwarded by a colleague. He felt a pang of pity, but no urge to reach out. The ring he'd given her 15 years ago, sold with the house, was a memory he no longer clung to. Mark focused on the present. He volunteered at the charity he donated to, mentoring kids like Jake. One weekend, he and Jake joined a beach cleanup, their hands sandy as they worked side by side. "This is cool, Dad," Jake said, grinning. "Better than Mom's old parties." Mark ruffled his hair. "Way better." The ocean breeze carried a sense of renewal, a future untainted by past pain. Emily, meanwhile, faced her consequences. Therapy helped, but her isolation was stark. She took a job at a local design firm, a far cry from her studio days. Friends who once fueled her rebellion were gone, their own lives unraveling. She texted Jake occasionally, respecting his space. Mark heard she'd stopped dating, focusing on herself. He didn't wish her ill, but her path was hers to walk. One evening, Mark sat with Jake on the balcony, the city lights below. "You ever miss how things were?" Jake asked. Mark thought of Emily's laugh, the yacht under starry skies. "Sometimes. But we've got something real now. You and me." Jake smiled. "Yeah, we're good." Mark looked out at the horizon, at peace. Emily's betrayal had broken him, but it also freed him to rebuild stronger. The story closed on a quiet note. Emily learned too late what mattered, her dreams of freedom replaced by regret. Mark and Jake forged ahead, their bond a testament to resilience. Choices had consequences, and while forgiveness was possible, some bridges stayed burned. Mark walked back inside, ready for tomorrow, knowing he'd chosen wisely, not revenge, but redemption. Moral: betrayal tests the heart, but integrity builds a life worth living. Cherish what's true, for the cost of chasing illusions is steep.